Tonight, devastated and furious, a mother who witnessed her teenage son's murder speaks out.
Everyone failed my son, even I did. I tried to save him and I couldn't get to him in time.
She says he was tormented at school for months and no one stepped in. Her plea to stop bullying. Turkey attacks a crucial U.S. ally in the fight against ISIS. Why your backyard fire pot could be dangerous.
You feel like there's a target on your back.
And is Hamilton a hotbed for hate? CBC News investigates. This is The National. In Hamilton, Ontario, tonight, hundreds gathered to share their grief and their outrage at the murder of a 14-year-old boy killed outside his high school. Devin Brackie-Selvi was stabbed to death near here on Monday as his mother watched in horror. And today she spoke publicly for the first time. Ellen Morrow shows us how helpless she felt to stop the bullying she believes led to her son's death.
Even in heartbreak, this mother chose to speak out today about her murdered son.
He's never going to grow up. He's never going to get married. He's never going to know what it's like to be a father.
Sherry Ann Selvi says her son was bullied mercilessly, even on the day he was killed.
When he called me to say that they were bothering him at the school, I went over there, and then my life fell apart.
Her 14-year-old son, Devin Brackie-Selvi, stabbed to death right in front of her. Police say by another 14-year-old.
He had a beautiful soul.
Selvi told the school several times her son was being targeted.
For a month, we've been trying to get this dealt with. Everyone failed my son, even I did. I tried to save him and I couldn't get to him in time.
I can't imagine what Devin's mom's going through.
School board officials would not say how the school responded to the reports of bullying.
Did the school board or the school fail this young man?
Yeah, if you're asking me right now, again, it's premature for me to say. I believe the administration has not failed them, but again...
Even though he's now dead?
Yes, I don't believe the school had failed them based on what I know. Once we do our inquiry, and if there is, then we'll know whether, to answer your question, did the board fail, or was there something else that we're going to learn through this police investigation that we just don't know right now?
But whatever they learn now may be little comfort to a mother plunged into grief.
Every time I close my eyes, it's there. So I don't close my eyes. If I don't close my eyes, I can't relive it.
Some solace, perhaps, from tonight's vigil and the embrace of a community promising to stand against bullying. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Hamilton, Ontario.
Today, Hamilton police urged victims of bullying to speak up.
You got to tell somebody, absolutely. And tell the school staff, tell somebody you trust. If it warrants calling the police, call the police. But certainly report it. Don't bottle that up. Don't hide that.
Police have now charged two males, aged 14 and 18, with first-degree murder. And today they said two other people arrested yesterday were released after lengthy questioning, a male and female, both 16. No other suspects are being sought, but police do say they have received video of the murder from witnesses. To the federal campaign now, and 12 days out from the election, Conservative leader Andrew Scheer went to a spot on the U.S. border famous far and wide as an entry point for asylum seekers coming to Canada. 3 years ago, a tweet from Justin Trudeau ramped up their numbers. Katie Simpson shows us Scheer's plan to turn them away.
This makeshift border station represents the biggest problem within Canada's immigration system, according to Andrew Scheer. The Conservative leader says he has a plan to stop asylum seekers from entering Canada at irregular spots, including this one on Roxham Road, where thousands of people have crossed into the country.
For Canadians to have faith in the immigration system, the rules have to be followed and the laws have to be enforced.
Scheer says he'll hire 250 more border agents and move immigration judges to places where there's an influx of crossings. But the biggest part of the plan depends on convincing Donald Trump to accept more refugees by closing a loophole under the current border agreement. The Liberals have tried to start those conversations with little success.
We continue to engage with them on measures that will strengthen our cooperation.
Scheer didn't say how he'd win over the White House, but he leaned on a Trump administration argument to add urgency to his pitch.
We will also closely monitor those considered to be a threat for criminality, especially MS-13 gang members.
Trump regularly mentions that Latin American gang when drumming up support for his border wall.
We don't want murderers and drug dealers and gang members, MS-13 and some of the worst people in the world coming into our country.
When asked for proof MS-13 members are crossing into Canada, the Conservatives pointed to just 2 newspaper articles from 2018.
We are putting the safety and security of Canadians first.
Trudeau says security is already the priority, and the informal setup at Roxham Road is proof.
They get full security screenings. They get placed into our immigration system and go through every step of our immigration process.
Immigration is a big issue in Quebec, so it's not surprising Scheer is raising these concerns ahead of tomorrow's French language debate. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Gatineau, Quebec.
Now, since 2017, more than 50,000 people have crossed into Canada at Roxham Road. About a third have been processed so far under the National Refugee System. Of those, 55% have been accepted as refugees. The other 45% have been rejected. A longtime Liberal candidate is apologizing tonight for a statement she now acknowledges is offensive. Judy Sgro was, it seems, trying to defend Justin Trudeau in the wake of the black and brownface scandal. And as Salima Shivji tells us, Sgro said black people tell her they love Trudeau even more now.
You are all welcome to Ordinary People Show.
An interview done nearly 2 weeks ago on a community show that's only now getting attention.
All of us were young at one time.
Longtime Liberal Judy Sgro defending her leader for wearing blackface. And then that defense took a turn.
Those in the black community have told me that how much more love they have for the Prime Minister, that he wanted to have a blackface. He took great pride in that too. And that it's the media that have blown this into something that it shouldn't be.
The host didn't react much, but today social media did, and so did the NDP's Jagmeet Singh.
It is ludicrous for Ms. Sgro to suggest that. It is embarrassing and it is shameful. That shows a massive disconnect between the Liberal Party and, in fact, Mr. Trudeau and what real people are living and what they're experiencing.
Then came an apology from Sgro. The comments I made on GBKM-FM were insensitive. I should have known better, and I apologize. The history of blackface is deeply racist, and it is nothing other than discriminatory. She's promising to speak with her constituents more and treat the issue with sensitivity. But the candidate's misstep comes just as Justin Trudeau was also again addressing why he wore blackface in the past.
Why did you paint your face brown?
Ooh. This time with kids on a show aimed at moms.
And I'm sorry I hurt people.
But did you paint your nose and your hands brown?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was the wrong thing to do.
Just as the Liberals were hoping the controversy would fade away, with Election Day fast approaching. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Ottawa.
To Syria now, where tonight Turkey is making its move and the world is watching. The much feared offensive against Kurdish fighters in northeastern Syria has begun. With airstrikes, artillery, and ground troops, Turkey pushed into a zone today where so much could go wrong. This is home not just to civilians and Kurdish forces, but to the tens of thousands of ISIS fighters they detained while fighting alongside U.S. troops. And as Susan Ormondson explains, that U.S. connection is central to how things are playing out.
Turkish tanks at the Syrian border, what President Erdogan has long wanted, an attack against their Kurdish enemy. But a key U.S. ally. It is a powder keg kicked off by the U.S. president's sudden plan to pull out U.S. forces.
I hope that he will act rationally.
President Trump now trying to warn Turkey not to wipe out Kurds.
I will wipe out his economy if that happens. I've already done it once.
But even staunch Republican allies are offside.
If he follows through with this, it'd be the biggest mistake of his presidency.
Kurdish-led forces who, with the U.S., helped defeat ISIS are now on the defensive. Talk of betrayal and abandonment. Panicked civilians have begun an exodus, scrambling to get out. We left our village, says this man, fearing our children might get hurt in the shelling. Tonight, multiple warplanes dispatched again as Turkey carries out its mission. Erdogan's generals want to clear a wide corridor, create a buffer between them and Kurdish militias, whom they call terrorists, and then resettle Syrian refugees. Erdogan says civilians won't be targeted, but many don't believe him. And they fear what will happen to the tens of thousands of captured ISIS fighters and their families, guarded by Kurdish-led forces who are now under attack. President Trump has long wanted out of Syria, saying today the U.S. being pulled into the Middle East was, quote, the worst mistake in U.S. history. But his critics say this move, unplanned and hasty, has helped plunge the region further into chaos. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Washington.
The UN Security Council will meet about this tomorrow behind closed doors, and Canada has joined the list of foreign leaders condemning Turkey's move, saying it risks undermining the stability of an already fragile region. As Karen Pauls shows us, Kurdish Canadians are watching what's happening with fear and anger.
All my family, all my cousins, relatives, everybody's there.
It wasn't quite business as usual at this Toronto hair salon.
This is a humanity thing.
These sisters are trying to focus on their customers, but struggling.
I just sat down and I cried. I couldn't work.
Trump says the U.S.
Glued to news of the Turkish attacks, trying to reach family and friends who live near the Syrian border. Finally, getting through.
Everybody panicking, screaming, everybody crying.
They canceled their evening appointment so they could get to the rally at the U.S. Embassy.
That we cannot watch this slaughter of innocent people.
We expecting that Canada take a lead and use their voice in the NATO.
Shame on USA! There was a similar scene outside the U.S. Embassy in Vancouver. Members of the Kurdish community wanted to deliver a letter.
We're here to tell Donald Trump that allies don't make unilateral decisions and leave behind the people who gave thousands of lives.
This rally was planned days ago. Today's news added extra urgency.
Thousands of people trying to flee the zone, and we have the young people are mobilizing to go fight.
This Kurdish man and his family came to Canada just last year as privately sponsored refugees. He's worried about his 80-year-old mother left behind.
We didn't sleep yesterday and we're under stress. We are waiting really what maybe we hope the United States government change their mind.
Kurdish Canadians say they feel betrayed by the American government, that they can't count on their allies. Who can they trust? And who will step in to prevent what they worry will become a humanitarian disaster? Karen Pauls, CBC News, Vancouver.
There is shock tonight in Germany where a gunman killed 2 people outside a synagogue. This is Yom Kippur, Judaism's holiest day. And as Thomas Degla tells us, the attacker tried and failed to break through the locked door behind which roughly 80 people were praying.
Dressed in combat gear, parked outside a synagogue he'd tried to break into, the gunman calmly reloads and opens fire again. In the city of Halle, Germany, on Judaism's holiest day, the gunfire killing one woman as a witness captures the violence on video. The attacker also recording his rampage using a camera strapped to that helmet. His video streamed live online and viewed at least 2,200 times before it was removed. I saw a man wearing army clothes with a gun over his shoulder, this witness says. He was throwing things over the wall of the synagogue cemetery and then there were 2 explosions. Police responded with plenty of force, but the gunman had already claimed another victim while shooting at a kebab takeout. As investigators spent the night combing the scene, authorities confirmed an arrest, a 27-year-old German national who had apparently blamed the world's problems on Jews. This evening, German Chancellor Angela Merkel joined Jewish worshippers in Berlin. This dark day, a reminder of the country's hateful past, and a sign anti-Semitism is hardly history. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, Toronto.
CBC News is investigating hate crimes here in Canada. Our in-depth coverage coming up in about 15 minutes. A warning tonight from Health Canada about a popular backyard feature, ethanol-burning fire pots. Now, they don't produce smoke, so they can be used in places wood or gas-burning fires cannot. Now, health officials acknowledge they could cause fires or serious burns. Diane Buckner shows us how.
She was a real artist when she was young. She was good at doing almost anything. And
Jim McGorman's wife Judith died after a visit with neighbors. The host used ethanol to fill a fire pot, not realizing it was still burning.
the gas caught on fire, it went into the container, and it spewed like a flamethrower, and my wife was sitting right there.
That was 3 summers ago.
I did become very angry at the fact that this could occur, and especially when I started reading and learning about the fact that this is not new.
It's called flame jetting. The Ontario Fire Marshal has released this video to warn the public.
The people around, believing that the candle has gone fully out, reach for the fuel container and proceed to refill the ornament. When the new fuel is introduced, it ignites the vapors.
And it's happening more often as the ethanol fireplaces and fire pots have become more popular. This Toronto doctor died in June in a similar incident with burns to 95% of her body. In August, 2 women were seriously injured in Toronto. They're still in hospital. And just 3 weeks ago, another incident injured a young woman and her baby niece.
People aren't going to use these products perfectly every time.
Lawyer John McLeish has launched a $14 million lawsuit against the American ethanol maker on behalf of Jim McGorman.
We've got 7 cases in the office and
involving ethanol.
Involving ethanol, blowtorch incidences where someone was badly injured or killed.
Jim McGorman and others affected by these devices have banded together to pressure Health Canada to take action.
There should be a moratorium on the sale of these fireplaces.
Manufacturers argue that the devices are safe as long as they're operated and fueled properly. The company facing that $14 million lawsuit tells CBC News it's no longer active in the business. Diane Buckner, CBC News, Peterborough, Ontario.
All right, more news ahead tonight on The National. A family shares the story with us of their daughter's death, hoping others will not die in a similar fire. And later, why doctors are concerned about the latest cannabis products about to be legal in Canada.
And the fallout to another chaotic commute in Ottawa. Thousands left stranded again. The Transit Authority says commuters need to do their part. Back in 2 minutes.
This week, The National is investigating illegal rental units. Now, they can be hard to spot from the outside, but inside, some are downright dangerous. 6 years ago, Alicia Lemaire was killed, trapped when an inferno broke out in her basement apartment, one that was full of safety violations. And as Katie Nicholson tells us, now her parents' fight for justice reaches the courts.
You're strong.
I have no other choice.
Yeah, I know.
6 years after her death, Alicia Lemaire's parents can still feel her presence at the base of her favorite tree.
I have a picture of her, I think on that branch there, hanging down, and she used to call this the enchanted tree. I got a call in the middle of the night. It was about 3:30 in the morning. It was a detective to tell me that Alicia had been in a fire.
Firefighters found the 24-year-old on the floor next to her bed in the basement suite. 2nd and 3rd degree burns covered 45% of her body. 4 days later, she was declared brain dead.
Her future was snuffed out from her.
Investigators never pinpointed a cause, but discovered numerous safety violations. The 2.5-story house had been illegally converted into 7 suites. There was just one working smoke detector on the 2nd floor. Lemaire couldn't escape through her bedroom window because of thick iron bars. The landlord, Konstantin Lysenko, was fined $75,000 for fire code violations.
Once you have an illegal apartment that kills someone, how could you walk away without any criminal charges?
Now her parents are trying to extract justice from the civil courts, suing Lysenko for $5 million. Lysenko declined to speak with CBC News. In his statement of defense, he says Lemaire was fully aware of the layout and condition of her apartment and failed to exercise due care for her own safety.
I've seen upwards of 27, 28 individuals in a rooming house at one time.
In the years since the fire that took Lemaire's life, the Toronto Fire Service charged 226 rooming house operators with fire code infractions.
I closed one down on Friday of last week. So there were I can't get into the details, but there were significant fire safety issues.
I see her sitting there.
Lemaire's parents hope their lawsuit also sends a message to illegal rooming house operators.
I would never want to see what happened with Alicia to happen to anybody. I would never want to see another parent have to go through the pain that we have gone through by losing her.
Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Toronto.
Let's get to Ian in our national newsroom in Vancouver. He is tracking other stories for us.
And Adrian, let's start in southern Ontario, where 6 men are facing charges connected to a multi-million-dollar theft ring in the Toronto area. Peel police released video of an armed group holding up a security guard at a cargo lot back in July. The thieves were intercepting shipments of electronics at gunpoint, making off with nearly $7 million worth of cell phones and tablets. They believe the group has been operating since at least 2018. It was yet another day of commuter chaos aboard Ottawa's new light rail transit system.
It's comical at this point. It's day 3, and this has happened already a second time. Like, this is ridiculous.
A malfunctioning train door again caused system-wide delays, leaving thousands stranded during the morning commute. Officials say adjustments are being made to try to avoid delays like the ones we've seen this week, while the city's considering fining passengers caught prying train doors open. And record-breaking water levels have forced Winnipeg to open the Red River floodway for the first time ever in the fall. Officials say heavy rain in September has resulted in higher than normal river levels for this time of year. With more rain and snow expected in the coming days, the floodway is being activated as a precaution in order to keep river levels low in Winnipeg. Well, millions of people remain without power tonight in California in an attempt to prevent wildfires. That's one of the developing stories we'll have for you in 20 minutes.
And up next, we kick off a new CBC News project exposing hate in Canada. We will take you to a city struggling with the highest number of reported hate crimes in the entire country for a look at how it could be a cautionary tale for other communities across Canada. There were nearly 1,800 hate crimes reported to Canadian police last year, but that number may not tell the whole story. Today, CBC News is launching a project called Exposing Hate. That's a commitment to understanding the nature of hate in this country, and we start by looking at what qualifies as a hate crime to begin with. As Chris Glover shows us, the answer depends on the police department.
I noticed the words right there. And I literally just froze.
Kyle Hughes shows where on his car he found the N-word and the word die etched in snow in December 2016.
I'm not sure if I felt ashamed, if I felt afraid, concerned, angry, upset.
It was one of 2 times he reported a hate crime to Hamilton police. Still, he's surprised his city's rate of police-reported hate crimes is more than 3 times the national average.
That boggles my mind hearing that.
Police departments in Canada track the number of hate incidents, but CBC News has learned they're not all on the same page with what qualifies as a hate crime. For instance, Edmonton Police and several others we surveyed don't specifically include gender identity in their definitions. In Thunder Bay and 3 others, the language includes victims perceived to be part of a protected group. So if someone is attacked for being Muslim but is in fact not, that is still counted as a hate crime. And Quebec's provincial police doesn't have a formal definition at all.
One word difference could make a significant change in this.
Former hate crime investigator Stephen Camp believes the data doesn't show how high the numbers in Canada really are.
That equals insufficient resourcing and insufficient policies and legislation.
He says Canada needs a universal hate crime definition and believes it needs to be a specific charge in the criminal code, not just a factor in sentencing as it is now.
And that can cause fractures between law enforcement and the public when they feel it's a hate crime when it's not, or for example, when it is a hate crime, police don't identify it as a hate crime.
On this upper part of the door.
No one was ever arrested for the slur left on his car.
It's not an easy feeling.
Hugh says as a man who is black and gay, he worries he's a target for hate, even when he's simply walking downtown.
Literally every time I'm down here, I'm always looking over my shoulder.
So, Chris, I gather you reached out to the federal parties about this. What did they say?
They all say that this is a problem that they want to take a close look at. And the NDP and the Greens go one step further. They say if elected, they'd commit to creating a universal definition for police forces in this country when it comes to hate crimes.
So I get the issues with data collection problems and classification, but still, when you're talking about Hamilton, you're still looking at 3 times the national average. Something has to be happening.
What we found is that Hamilton is a city that is struggling to find a balance between free speech and hate speech. And the problems and what we're seeing in Hamilton is a cautionary tale for other Canadian cities as they also try to decipher when political arguments turn deeply personal.
I define Nazis as people that try to whip up hatred.
This is Hamilton, week after week for months. Shouting matches filling the city's streets with hate.
These people have nothing to do with our city. We say immigrants in, Nazis out.
And local officials accused of not going far enough to condemn it.
I can't just let them go unopposed. And ignoring them made it worse. More of them showed up. You could see they're coming from other cities. They're importing hate.
You are openly promoting sin. You should be disgusted. We don't believe in gay supremacy. You're full of hatred yourself.
The boiling point, Pride, this past June. Violence between anti-gay protesters and the LGBTQ community. Anticipating the attack, some on both sides came ready for a fight. Police were accused of letting this play out. It wasn't until 10 days later that anyone was charged with assault.
I am humiliated. I am horrified. It's questioned.
All these months later, the former head of Pride, Lila Miklos, can't bear to watch the attack.
Nah, no more. No more.
She says that day was a turning point for the LGBTQ community, who believe police can no longer be trusted to protect them.
You're bigots against the Bible. You're bigots against God.
I don't like walking around like I'm a victim 24/7, but that's how you feel. You feel like there's a target on your back and there aren't going to be people coming to help you who should be coming to help you.
Police Chief Eric Gert argues unless free speech laws change, his officers are handcuffed. But it was a controversial example he used recently to make his point that shocked many here. This is him speaking on a local radio show.
We've had recent amendments to the criminal code that have finally removed anal intercourse as a prohibited activity. Finally, and that's after years and years of petitioning. So when you have consenting adults who engaged, it was fine. If you have conditions where you've got a youth involved or other, that's a whole other ball of wax. One is by the OIPRD, so they'll have to
2 days later, he apologized.
Do you feel like you're helping or hurting the relations between police and the LGBTQ community?
Our intent is to move the dialogue forward. We understand the hurt to this community. It's the reason I apologize for the comments. I'm not looking to hurt the community anymore, and we want to move in a positive direction.
Thank you, sir. Welcome.
Thank you.
My name is Michael DeMille, and I live and work in Hamilton.
A rare chance to voice the pain of months of feeling targeted.
Chief Gert evoked the most harmful, damaging, and offensive stereotypes that have been used throughout history to persecute, demonize, humiliate, imprison, murder, torture, deny housing and employment, and deny basic human rights to gay and lesbian people.
Thank you, sir, for your deputation. Much appreciated.
That is Hamilton's mayor, Fred Eisenberger.
But he's in my country, and he just said, F Canada.
His council has been exploring legal options for removing the protesters, but so far, nothing's changed. Garnering thank yous from some who defend their views as free speech.
Silence equals death! Silence equals death!
And condemnation from those who say the mayor's allowing hate speech.
Shame on all of you.
I mentioned that you were going to be removed from here.
Sorry, Miss
you're actually saying
something now.
Thank you.
You're
Pardon me?
so silent.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay.
So silent.
Could you please stop? We'll stop the council meeting. We will vacate the council.
Mr. Mayor.
When pressed about who or what he's against, the mayor refuses to get specific.
You know, I denounce all hate groups and anyone that acts out violently that is, targeting individuals in terms of violence or hate. We denounce them all. I'm not categorizing one group against another. Never have done that, and won't ever do that. We'll denounce them all, and we'll work against them all, and we'll try to support the organizations that are targets of those kinds of issues. And thank you all very much for this lovely interview. Thanks. Cheers.
Well, I think that Hamilton community members have heard way too many statements that seem very much like about both sides and establishing dialogue, and not near enough statements about hate is not acceptable here. These protesters don't represent my views. These are very dangerous, and that we need to take them very seriously. There are people who are paying closer
McMaster University sociologist Tina Fettner studies hate groups. She says civic leaders must pointedly call out hate early and often.
I think it's very important for Hamilton to be a cautionary tale for other cities. I'm very certain that this is going to be knocking at the door of other cities across Canada.
As if to prove how emboldened all sides are now, an elderly woman was shouted at and blocked, just trying to get into a People's Party of Canada event. The latest example in Hamilton of how quickly hateful voices can fill a void.
And the fallout from that incident, Adrian, has been big. One of the people who was seen blocking that woman is the son of restaurant owners here in Toronto. And they say they got death threats and actually closed up shop, but they're hopeful they'll be able to reopen. Toronto police, meanwhile, have spent some part of this afternoon handing out anti-hate leaflets. Clearly, they're taking this very seriously.
All right, Chris, thanks very much.
Thanks.
More news ahead on The National, including your health news and a closer look at concerns as Canada prepares to legalize cannabis vape products. We'll see you in 2 minutes. "18 people have died. More than 1,000 are suffering from vaping-related illnesses in the United States, which may be linked to products containing THC. That's the active ingredient in cannabis. New cannabis products, including vape oils, will be legalized in Canada next week. And as Christine Birak explains, that has doctors very worried.
Even pot activist Matt Oliver is unnerved by all the vaping-related lung illnesses in the U.S.
It's an awful thing, right? Like, I don't think that people are being warned about what's in the e-liquid.
Oliver's convinced legal dry herb isn't the problem. He thinks these currently illegal cannabis vape pens, oils, and e-juices are making people sick. To date, there's no clear culprit, but we do know 77% of those sickened in the U.S. vape THC, the chemical in cannabis that gets people high. And in this country, hundreds of new cannabis edibles, extracts, and oils will be legalized October 17th and on sale by the end of the year.
Right now, we don't know a specific product or substance or even a device that might be implicated.
Canada's top doctor says once cannabis vaping products are regulated, no additives will be allowed and health officials will know exactly what's in them, saying if there should be any issues or safety concerns, it's much easier to investigate.
Right now, we simply don't know enough about the dangers.
But American authorities say they're not sure that legal vape products sold by licensed stores are any safer, which is why some are asking, why is Health Canada legalizing products that are at the center of a public health crisis?
This isn't theoretical. People are dying, people are really sick. We need to press the pause button on this.
Based on what doctors are seeing, this respirologist says people should seriously question Health Canada's approach.
If it's okay to say that, let's release this, let's make this legal, and once we have a spate of cases, and maybe some people will die, we'll use that as a way to go back and trace and understand what the problem is. That is just not something that I think as Canadians we expect of our health regulatory agencies, and that's not something that I think the public should accept.
Many public health experts say if new cannabis vape products are to be legalized, there need to be stricter rules, including limits on THC concentrations.
That's really the discussion that should be happening around legalization, which means what are the products, how do we regulate them so consumers are going to have confidence in them and we minimize any risk? And quite frankly, we haven't achieved that yet.
Until then, vaping remains a high-stakes game of buyer beware. Christine Burak, CBC News, Toronto.
We're back in 2 minutes with Ian and more news. Plus,
what are the issues that you guys think are your number one issues, the ones that are most important this election?
talking politics over dinner is usually a faux pas, but not for this group of strangers.
Welcome back. Millions of Californians are in the dark right now. An intentional blackout that could last days to avoid sparking wildfires.
Cutting the power off is really serious. So if you need any gas or anything right now, you guys should have got that yesterday.
The state's largest power utility started the shutoff early this morning. Forecasters are warning strong winds and dry conditions are increasing the risk of fires in the area. Last year, the company agreed to pay billions for their part in a massive wildfire. Former NBC host Matt Lauer is denying new allegations that he raped a former co-worker while covering the 2014 Sochi Olympics. The accusations detailed in a new book by journalist Ronan Farrow. The author spoke for the first time on the record with the woman whose claims led to Lauer's firing in 2017. The woman alleges Lauer invited her to his hotel room and then forced himself on her. Lauer released a statement saying the accusation is false, describing the encounter as consensual. And for the first time, Joe Biden is calling for Donald Trump's impeachment.
The United States cannot afford to have a president who will abuse whatever power is available to him to get reelected. That's what it's all about.
House Democrats launched a formal impeachment inquiry last month after a whistleblower complaint. Trump is accused of pressuring Ukraine's president into investigating Biden and his son Hunter. Trump denies any wrongdoing, and the White House is refusing to cooperate. Time for a quick break. Next, Andrew drops in on an unusual dinner party.
So why is it that you don't think more young people are engaged?
A group of strangers talking politics around the table. We're back in 2 minutes.
They're giving an answer that's most...
Election Day is less than 2 weeks away, and a nonpartisan group has cooked up a plan to get more young people to the polls. Last federal election, among 18 to 24-year-olds, turnout was just under 60%, and that was considered higher than normal. So here's where apathy is boring comes in, sending free meals to groups of young people, hoping a little conversation starter will get them to care about politics. Andrew joined a group in Toronto for dinner and a discussion.
So we are making tofu and couscous, totally vegan meal from Miss Fresh.
Well, whose idea was it to have this dinner in the first place?
To do the dinner?
Yeah.
Well, we had heard about it online, and it just seemed like a pretty sweet deal to get like a free dinner and get to hang out with friends and talk about democracy. So.
Tonight's a night for breaking rules. Dinner with friends? Nope. These people don't actually all know each other. Some are meeting for the very first time. How about no new recipes on special occasions? Also a no. They've never cooked this before. They're not even exactly sure what it is they're cooking.
I thought it was an amazing idea, and I was really excited to come. Especially with the election coming up, there's a few issues that are important to me, but I always love to meet people outside of my regular circles and kind of hear about what matters to other voters.
I guess they say that you're not supposed to talk about politics at dinner, but that's exactly what we're doing. So. Okay, so we have our little conversation cards. Do you vote? Why or why not?
Yes. I definitely do vote. I think it's important to remember that I think a lot of times people can get bogged down and think that their one single vote can't make a difference. But if you think of if everybody did that, then nothing would happen.
It's in our everyday lives, so it is so important that we all choose to vote and find that our vote is important, because it is. Every single one matters. So yeah, definitely vote.
No, I completely agree. Not to bring it back to politicians, but I do also think they have a responsibility to give us good reasons to vote. I don't think they're catering to youth voters right now. I don't think they're solving our educational issues with tuition, with transportation. So I really wish that they thought about all potential voters rather than registered voters.
It was interesting. For just about the entire time we were there, the conversation was very political, but very rarely partisan. No one here seems interested in sniping at any particular leader.
I personally don't feel like connected to any one specific representative or leader. Like, the way I'm trying to figure out who I'm going to vote for is based on what they want to do. It doesn't really have much to do with the actual leader.
Yeah, I agree with that. Especially this year, there's so many different things going on. It's hard to resonate with one particular party.
What are the issues that you guys think are your number one issues, the ones that are most important this election?
I think I'm very interested in the economy and just where the job market is going, I think.
I think too, especially now, is we've transitioned from students to adults, and you see your paychecks and how much are going towards taxes. It also makes you reflect more because you see that coming off of your income, so you want to make sure it's going somewhere that you care about.
Yeah, and like all of us living in Toronto, this is like the most expensive housing market in the country. Like I think it surpassed Vancouver recently. So like on the lens of like economy and like taxes and everything, like this is now hitting us a lot more.
So why is it that you don't think more young people are engaged or get interested in or follow or discuss or debate?
I think like people don't always connect these issues to government or to politics. Like people view it as something almost separate when it's like actually almost everything we do from the moment we wake up to when we go to bed.
There's higher levels of mistrust in politics now than there have been in the past, just because there's so many different ways to consume information now that it's really hard for a lot of people to be able to read something and evaluate its credentials.
I feel like sometimes when you go online, sometimes it's really hard to find reputable sources that we can really trust.
We shouldn't have to dissect the system this much. It shouldn't just be around election period that we start hearing about like what different like groups want to be doing. It should be like incorporated into our daily lives, you know, and like even to have this kind of dinner, like not everyone has the time to do this.
Turns out they have a lot to say once they get going, and the hope is, after a night like this, these conversations start to feel a little less daunting.
To democracy.
After all, if you can have these sorts of talks with strangers, then why not with friends?
Next on The National, our moment. Stay with us. Here, quite literally, is a bird's eye view. I promise you'll see it soon. Victor is an eagle who carries around a camera, dispatched now to raise awareness of climate change. Victor flew to 5 countries in 5 days, capturing some of the world's most astonishing scenery. His tour and his view make up the moment.
The Alpine Eagle Tour was a project that we just finished yesterday. And actually, Victor flew from the 5 biggest mountain in the Alps. He's the only eagle in the world that can do this flights, and we hope that people all around the world are going to watch it, are going to see how beautiful our planet is, and that actually it's really worth to to do something that we don't lose all this this beauty. What was the most important is that we witnessed how glaciers are disappearing. The facts are super important. That there's no doubt about that. But actually, I think that with emotion, we can also change people.
Okay, that is striking. I know their message is supposed to be that, 10%, I think, 10 years the glaciers in the Alps have retreated by about 1.5 kilometers, but I get vertigo just looking at that because it's staggeringly beautiful.
Well, we know with the climate change story, one of the problems is the sameness of it, right? How do you get that message out? Well, apparently you put a 360-degree camera on the back of a very strong eagle, and that's a pretty effective way to at least get people's attention for a short period of time. That is the National for October the 9th.
Good night.
Good night.